ask the first question about your latest video, The Philosopher Then. And I know that the video clip was made in Świnoujście with the cooperation with some reenactment group, Wywiad.
Yes.
Can you tell me how it happened? Why the Świnoujście was the...
Yeah, it might seem weird. I mean, I think some of the French were a little bit upset that we did one of their most iconic battles, recorded the video in Poland. But one of the fantastic things, I don't think there's a European country that's more, in touch with history. And I mean, it's so cool. How could we find a World War I reenactment group with having both German and French uniforms in Poland? I don't think there are that many countries where you could.
So they are equipped well and
professional very good discipline, which is always a problem when you have many people, because somebody needs to take a toilet break at different times. Some people start to check their phones, which is not good for video.
Smoking breaks.
Yeah, all of that. So have disciplined, professional, knowing their equipment, knowing what to use.
How to use it, yes, that's true. But it means that we cannot expect any further medieval times cooperation, Sabaton and maybe other actors.
Yeah, if we did something.
Maybe other albums connected only with the
medieval times, you mean? If we went there, absolutely. We have covered stuff further back in history. I think we go as far back on the last stand as the Battle of Thermopylae and the Spartans. The problem with that is hard to deal with facts. You're going almost into myth. And at the same time, it's very liberating, because when you're a lyric writer, that it can be really big, And but at the same time, it's harder to check the history, and it's also a risk of only knowing the commander's version.
That's true, but I was thinking that so many great battles and so epic ones
visually,
that also inspire you.
Yeah, visually it's highly appealing, but it's also like, in so many ways, my favorite themes are the ones where you go in on the person, on the soldier. And if you go back only 200-300 years, the regular soldier cannot read or write.
Yeah, that's true. So your main inspiration comes from maybe, I don't know, you read a lot or you...
Oh yes, documentaries a lot and audiobooks. Because in many cases I'm on flights and bringing a lot of books on tour. I mean, that gets heavy very fast. So audiobooks is an absolutely lovely way to disconnect from a flight, even driving a car. Documentaries when I'm home. And I mean, it sounds like I'm a war history nut, and I'm crazy. I love all kinds of history. It's just this aspect is very good for heavy metal. Doing heavy metal about art history, maybe not so much.
No, that's true, but I guess all battlefields might suit for the metal music.
Why did you choose the First World War as a concept album?
I think we had it in the back of our minds ever since we did the Art of War in 2008. We covered the Battle of Passchendaele and the Battle of Gallipoli on that album, in the place of Gallipoli and Price of Michael. And when looking at it, we realized there was so much that we knew then already, I think, that we had to rediscover or revisit this topic. And especially now, since on the 11th of November was 100 years since the war ended, we thought that we chose to start the recording of the album on that day, on the 11th of November.
Great day to make this kind of step.
Yeah, we thought so.
And can you tell us about all songs? Because we don't have lyrics, so it's very difficult to understand what
it's about.
What are you singing about?
So not musically, but the topics.
The topics.
Okay, the topics. We know Red Baron.
Yeah,
we know,
that's the way.
Brodén. Okay.
Yeah,
but the rest.
The first one is the future of warfare. It's a little bit more mechanical and technical, and that's because it talks about the introduction of tanks onto the battlefield. This is the first time we see them in military history. Seven Pillars of Wisdom is the biography by T.E. Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah.
So we're talking about him doing guerrilla warfare with the Arabs against the Ottoman Empire. Then it's 82nd All the Way. It's about Alvin York, American sergeant, I think he made it to, corporal sergeant, depending on where in the war we are. When he was promoted, I don't remember actually. But he was, I think, the most decorated American soldier in World War I. Going on to Attack of the Dead Men. The Germans using gas on the soldiers of the Russian Empire in Ossowiec's fortress. And how the Germans thought the gas had finished them, but they were actually facing about 100 Russian soldiers bleeding from their eyes, coughing blood and, counter-attacking. Scaring the Germans so they ran away. Modern day, or, old school zombie movie, I think. 5 Devil Dogs, United States Marines entering combat.
We can hear it.
Yes, Devil Dogs because they were fighting so fiercely that the Germans call them Teufelhunde. 6, Red Baron, so that's pretty obvious. 7 is Great War, right?
Yes.
And focuses on Passchendaele, but also at the same time a personal story that Pat found when he wrote the lyrics about a young man who has 2 brothers, so there are 3 kids in the family, and the first one dies and his mom gets a telegram. We're sorry to say your son has died in battle. The second telegram comes. He finds out that now I'm the only living son of my mom, and I'm not gonna let that shit happen to me. And of course he starts to question the whole concept of this war. And then we move into 8, right? Ghost in the Trenches. It's about native Canadian soldier Francis Pegamogabo. He volunteered to go to the war. He didn't have to because he was living on what we call Indian reservation. Not even a citizen of Canada. And he signed up and basically went over.
Where did you find these people? Where did you find this?
Oh, lots of books and sometimes fans give us tips. Friends in the historical community, sometimes as easy as a Google search. It's everywhere and nowhere.
You have your eyes open, I guess.
Yes.
Any kind of, even
We've been doing this for so long now that we're always on the hunt for the next blockbuster story,
Visiting all museums, maybe?
Yes, a lot of it. Sometimes it gets tiring though. It's like another museum. It's like, oh, come on. It's not like we disrespect it, but it's really lovely, but it's also hard because, emotionally spending 3 days going to military museums thinking about that death and destruction. It's not a nice thing to do when you have a concert in the evening. It's like
be full of energy.
Be smiling and happy. It's like, let's just say I wouldn't want to go to Auschwitz before we have a concert, the same day in Krakow. It would be stupid.
Might be hard.
At the end of the war.
To end all the wars. It doesn't actually focus on any event in particular. I had this idea when I wrote the music already that this is a retrospective. Somebody standing on the 11th of November, and in 1918, of course, and looking back and reflecting on the past 4 years. So this is more, not a fictional story, but a reflection of the whole conflict itself. And then In Flanders Fields is not our text, it's John McRae's beautiful poem. And we just thought, we gotta write this music to it. And the more we removed, the better it became. Because first we thought church organs, orchestra, band, and that's like, no. Let's take it down,
It was good choice.
Well, thank you. Which is highly unusual that Sabaton thinks less is more. We usually do it exactly the other way.
Because it's gonna be also during the concerts, the new concerts. It's your 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be like even more Or
Yes, more is more.
still more?
More is more, and Sabaton is more is more. We have, you know, it's also, we've taken away almost everything from our previous station. We still have a tank. It's been heavily modified though, and everything is in a World War I battlefield setting. And the positive side effect that we didn't realize until we actually started seeing the pictures, like, wait, now, it makes total sense for us to bring in those old, well, hardcore fan favorites that we haven't played in a couple of years. It makes total sense for us now to play The Price of a Mile in that setting on a World War I battlefield. So, because we have covered World War I in our past, so we can incorporate sort of the 20th anniversary with this. But yes, more is more.
The show must be as big as it is.
Yes.
And maybe you can tell us something about this single song, Bismarck.
That was actually a gift to our fans on our 20th anniversary, like saying, thank you for 20 years of service. And for, hanging around. But the thing was, we were probably too bad to communicate it. The whole idea was, we didn't want to sell a box set looking backwards, making people pay for music they already own and stuff like that. So, hey, but we do it the other way around. You know, we're metal fans ourselves. What would we want from our favorite bands? More music was the answer. And which topic? Well, we chose Bismarck because it was the most requested by our fans. So we thought, okay, let's make a kick-ass song and try and make a kick-ass video and give it away for free and not monetize it. And I think we succeeded in that. I don't think we've had that many views so fast ever in our life. Big thanks to the gaming company Wargaming that we worked with before for helping out with the video. Otherwise, those kind of battle scenes would not have been possible. But the backlash was instantly, our fans asked us, when is this on Apple Music? Where can I buy the LP? No, that was not the idea, you know. But we learned the lesson. Sorry, guys. I guess it's up to us to do the music, but it's not up to us to control how people listen to it. But at least the idea and the intention of that was, you know, everybody, we announced we're making an album about the Great War, make a bit of a surprise, like, no, this is not about the Great War. Here we go. Here's a song from us to you, and let's keep on rolling. But yeah. So I guess it worked great and very bad, depending on how you look at it.
And whose idea was this Sabaton channel, history channel? That's like a dream we had for a long time, because there is only so much we can say. Take this, for example, let's choose Fields of Verdun, because that's something people have heard already, so they can relate to. It's the longest battle in World War I, 303 days. Sorry for my language, but how the fuck are we gonna cover that in 3.5 minutes of heavy metal? We can't. Then there is a very good way for us to have this history channel where, I mean, we're passionate about history, but we are by no means any experts. How can we then deepen that connection between the music and the history that is there? But this heavy metal, the format of heavy metal, as much as we love it, is a bit limited in the storytelling, you know. So you want to popularize the knowledge about the history even more?
In a sense, yes, absolutely. We want to make it more easily accessible. We want to make history sexier, not by us being sexy, sorry, I don't mean that, but I think looking at most countries at least, I don't know about here in Poland because you seem to be pretty good at it, but kids are scared of history because it's boring. And this is because I think when history, well, whoever writes the teaching plan or whatever, they want you to understand the whole global events. And history on such a zoomed out scale becomes boring very fast. But if you, for example, zoom in and talk about the people and tell a fantastic story, because in every culture, at any time in history, people love stories.
You can find great stories.
And everybody loves stories. So let's say you want somebody to find out about Polish history from the, let's say the 30s, 40s up until 50s. How about you start with Witold Pilecki? You start with that story, telling his life. And trust me, to tell that story well, you have the kids hooked. They, what? And then you zoom out, because they will want to find out more. Zoom out. Okay, so why was this camp there? Okay, yeah, because, okay, and why was there a war? Now we're zooming out already. So I think the whole idea of going outwards and in is totally the wrong approach when teaching history, unless you're already good at it or already interested. That is a good way to do it, because you can yourself choose where to go. But if you're gonna get people into it, you should start on the lowest level and then zoom out.
You get so much time to do it, because I think there will be a big tour.
Yes.
So where are you going to make the other movies?
The other topics, because the topics right now are only about the history channel. Is gonna to develop for other?
Yeah, we made a, it's an economical thing as well. We did an initial investment for a couple of months to keep it alive. Hopefully our fans will watch it. I mean, obviously the more people who watch it, the bigger it gets, but YouTube is not the main source of income for such a project, because this is like 7 or 11 people, depending if you're counting full-time or part-time, to do this serious level of historical research, and the graphics with the maps and everything. There's the Patreon thing where people can, for €1 a month, for example, support the project up to, and depending on how much you go, if you are like, I can't remember how it is, but if you go to a certain level, you get a special Sabaton history version of the album, and then you will have Indy, who is the host of the, explaining everything in between the songs. So that's how we're trying to finance that project. But the dream is to have every Sabaton song, because if that can sustain itself, a minimum of 1 episode of every Sabaton song, and that's gonna be over 90 episodes or more, And then you have interesting people like Lauri Alanturmi, we called him the soldier of 3 armies, because he fought for Finland, the SS, and the Special Forces in America. So he's 3 episodes only, this guy, So.
A lot of work.
Yes, but it's so fun. I love it, because every episode I learn something new.
It's so encouraging to do even more.
Yeah.
If you have a feedback that people love it and people want to watch it.
Actually, this I would do even if nobody was watching it, if we could afford it, because it's so much fun.
Maybe you was playing in Poland many times. Can you think about any place, and I'm thinking not about the concert hall, that you would like to play again or play in the future, like for a castle or anything like that?
Yeah, historical places that are connected in any way to our music. We played on the battlefield in Visna for the anniversary, and that was amazing. I still remember that concert. Of course, we remember, Woodstock as well, because that's something that will be with us for the rest of our lives. But it's like, there's always something special when you can be on the battlefield playing. There's something in the air, and sort of anticipation for that song, especially when, let's say, we were in Visna then, and of course for that point there is an anticipation for 40 to 1. And it's not like people are thinking, are they gonna play it? Of course they are. But you can feel this pressure building up. And then it's like a huge emotional explosion when that happens. And at the same time, it's, I think that's the time when you forget the past, you forget that there's going to be the next second. You're only in the moment. That's a nice feeling to be. People these days are usually too much in the past or looking forward.
Too much in a hurry also.
Yeah.
So it's good to have this moment and to feel it so.
Yeah, and be now.
So tell us about the festival in Falun. about bands which will be played in this year? How do you choose them?
In general, we started the whole Sabaton open air project. It wasn't open air the first year, but it's a release party for Art War back in 2008. And the idea was, let's bring some other bands that we are friends with, other bands we like, and also some younger bands or smaller bands that have been working hard and are really good but haven't gotten any attention really, you know. And in a sense, but in a much bigger scale, that is the same idea of the festival to this day. We don't choose bands on the basis that they need to sell tickets. We choose bands on the basis that this is a band that we really love, and if you like Sabaton, there's a good chance you're gonna like this, and that our fans can get a positive surprise. Also, we book bands that we know our fans already like, as well as old touring buddies. We've had Halloween there. We've had lots of bands we toured with over the years, and it's a cool vibe. And every year it's stressful, and every year we think never again, and still we do it.
How do you like the Apocalyptica's version of your song?
I liked it, and we teased our fans a little bit because the cover was released before the original. So a bit of a, double-edged idea there. One, to tease the fans for fun, and in that same sense, of course, cross-promotion between both bands. We love Apocalyptica as people. They're nice guys, and we'd like to do maybe something else with them in the future. And I think could be a good crosstalk there. But first and foremost, I wanna talk to somebody who's really a Sabaton fan and ask them, so, when you heard the Apocalyptica cover before it, how did you imagine that the Sabaton song would sound? And what were your reactions when you heard the real Sabaton song? That's gonna be very interesting.
Let's talk about music. I think that the new music of Sabaton is in your style, but it's different. It's my much catchy melodies, special melodies, much more special solos, much more I don't know, influences from classical music.
Yeah.
On this CD. Why?
I don't know. It felt right. We never sit down before an album and say, let's go harder, let's go softer, let's be fast, let's be slow. The theme of the album influences the songwriting, of course, and the mood of everyone who was a part of writing it. Sometimes it becomes excruciatingly depressing, and then it's going to be reflecting in the music. Sometimes you have a really heroic story to tell. That's going to be catchy as sorry, And we never know where we're going until we're there, which is one of the things I love about it. We tried once back in the day to talk about where we would go with the band musically, and we realized that didn't work at all. So we just decided, let's see where we go. It's important to us that, of course, three things that have to work in some sort of symbiosis or synergy. And that is that we are enjoying what we're doing. That we can try and eat the cake while keeping it at the same time. And this is the finest, and this is not exclusive to Sabaton, to any artist who has done more than 3 albums, or band, is that how do you keep your musical identity while keeping on innovating? Sometimes, there has to be some sort of evolution, and both for the fans and for us, I guess. At least we couldn't do exactly the same thing all the time, but we've also chosen not to take 2 big steps in one direction at one time, but rather try the waters, try one step here, one step there. And what people sometimes forget is some of those experiments that we did, that's typical Sabaton today. But it started out as an experiment 10 years ago.
It was a shocker 10
Yeah.
years ago, right?
I
Right
mean,
now it's typical for
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I mean, when we did Ghost Division, which is people think that's a very stereotypical Sabaton song. But when we did that, we had nothing that intense, starting the album with, you know, machine gun, everything in your face. But now that's what people expect us to do. And on the other hand, you know, sometimes we do experiments that really work out we didn't expect. The Final Solution, for example. Really a big fan favorite, but it's more like a very different rock song, not heavy metal at all, really. And then we did Wehrmacht, which is heavily progressive, which in theory should work, but not too many people care about it. I still enjoy it, but I mean, we never know which way it's gonna go. But if you would have asked me before, so what's which one is Sabaton fans gonna enjoy more, Wehrmacht or the Final Solution? I would say, yeah, personally, I enjoy the Final Solution more, but I think the Sabaton fans are going to be more into the metal, and they're going to really like the hard and, you know, progressiveness of Wehrmacht. And boy, I was wrong.
Will you dare to pick one song from the new album that you think is gonna be the main one, the better one?
For me personally, or for the fans?
You can say both.
Oh, thank you. Of course, you can choose both. never give them options in interviews. Of course, rule number one. I walked straight into that one. Me personally, I'm probably the worst person to ask at this moment, because even though I'm not by no means the only songwriter, but I'm there for every step of the process. You know, writing the music, maybe I'm writing with the guitar player for, you know, 1 to 3 songs or something like that, but then I'm there for writing without the guitar player, or with the own guitar player, or with a friend, or writing alone, and then we go into pre-production, then we do the recording, and I'm there every day, and even to the mixing, so by the time my album is done, I'm tired of it. So, I'm the worst guy actually to sell a new album, sorry. But then I also think it's up to the fans and decide if it's a good album or not, which are their favorite songs. But me personally, there's one song that actually makes me wanna drink beer and sing along, and that can't be a bad thing. I mean, and that is 7 Pillars of Wisdom, the second one, because it's just classic heavy metal. There is no orchestra, there is no choir. There's just a band, and it has what I think is the best guitar playing and drum performance in Sabaton's history. So I'm gonna go with that one.
Okay. The history will show.
Yeah, that's mine. However, that's not the one I think that would be most popular with the fans.
Oh,
No.
okay, so it's yours.
Yes.
The cover was made by, I don't have,
Peter Salai.
Peter Salai.
Yeah.
Did you suggest something, what he should
Yeah,
paint?
we always have suggestions, but we also go with very rough drafts and a lot of emotions. We don't tell him, it's the same like we do with our music, we don't tell him so much in pictures as in emotions. And the first draft we got was pretty much this soldier, not in its current form, but he was still sitting. And the battlefield was very bare, there was not much at all, because it was only the draft, you know. My first reaction was actually, you know, uneasy feeling, because it's a dramatic picture, you know, so like, and then, yeah, it's, the colors aren't that vibrant. It's pretty brown and boring, and it's a little bit similar colors to The Last Stand. And so that was my initial feeling, or, you know, a reaction to it. But the more we looked at it, it's like, yeah, what the fuck? This is the First World War, it shouldn't be popping with colors. It should be dark. And if we feel a bit bad and depressing to watch it, maybe that's what we should be doing, you know.
The reaction we want to have.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, we added, more stuff has been added along the way. The most obvious one is the hint there with the Red Baron lying. So, there are small Easter eggs where, you know, things pop up.
You record to Dix?
What?
You record to Dix? His drawings?
Oh,
About the war?
yeah, I mean, the problem I have is I'm so useless myself with the visual stuff. I love it all, but I can't paint or anything myself. If somebody tells me, what do you think about this picture? It looks good, it looks bad. What should be changed if it looks bad? I have no idea, because I have no understanding of visual arts at all. I guess all my all the talents I got within the arts were in the ear department.
Well, I think we have to finish. So the last question. Do you like Polish cuisine?
Yes.
You are a guest in Poland very often, so we had to ask you.
Yeah, I really enjoy it, and here's why. My mother is from the Czech Republic, and
Yes,
Czech and Polish cuisine isn't totally different, you know. I mean, you still do the pork knuckle here and stuff like that, and there's so much, I don't know what's called, knedlik in Czech?
Knedliki?
Yeah, okay, so pretty similar, yeah.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Sweden, so I feel Swedish, obviously, with having been there most of my life. But on the other hand, I feel sometimes food culture-wise, because growing up with mom's cooking, I feel a little bit more at home here than at IKEA, for example. It's not only here, it's also, of course, Czech Republic, Slovakia, and to some certain extent, Bavaria as well, you know. So, yeah, and very good beer as well, which is always nice.
Is it possible that Sabaton will sing about love, about anything else than war?
Yeah, we might tease
Maybe your solo album.
we might tease our fans and do an album called Ceasefire one day. But no, I would see us as Sabaton dealing with, I mean, technically, let's look at it this way. We could change a bit, but we couldn't change much. I'm not making any promises here. This is my mind working, you know, freely. I guess we could do something about war that isn't historical. It would still be war, but not the history connection. Or we could do something that is historical, but not technically about war. However, if we lose both of those, we would lose a lot of our identity. But those are my thoughts, as I was saying, not a plan we have as a band. Totally my personal thing. So, if anyone in the band decided to do anything else, I guess it would have to be done outside the realm of Sabaton.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And see you again.
Yeah.
So go ahead, face it, join the dead, though you die where you lie, never asking